There is a moment that almost every American knows. You are sitting in your car, or at your kitchen table, or lying in bed at 2 in the morning, and your phone buzzes. You open your bank app, and the number staring back at you makes your stomach drop. Not because you are broke, not because you did something wrong, but because you know. One bad week, one unexpected bill, one medical visit, and everything falls apart. That feeling has a name. Financial psychologists call it scarcity mindset, and it is not a personality flaw. It is not laziness. It is what happens to your brain when it has no buffer between today and disaster. Warren Buffett understood this before he was 20 years old, and the solution he identified is not a stock. It is not an index fund. It is not a retirement account. It is $1,000, sitting in an account, untouched. And in the next 17 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why that single number, not 10,000, not 100,000, $1,000 changes the entire game. I'm going to show you the science behind it, the math behind it, and the exact steps to build it faster than you think is possible, even on a normal American salary. If you have been watching this channel and you have not subscribed yet, do it right now. Every week I break down the kind of financial thinking that took me years to find, and I hand it to you in plain English. No jargon, no fluff, just the real mechanics of building wealth. Let me tell you what is actually happening inside your brain when you have zero savings. Princeton researchers published a study that changed how economists think about poverty and financial stress. What they found was this. When people are in a state of financial scarcity, when they are constantly worried about money, their cognitive function drops by the equivalent of losing 13 IQ points. 13 points. That is the same cognitive impairment as going an entire night without sleep. Think about what that means in real life. You are making every financial decision, every job negotiation, every purchase, every investment choice, with a brain that is operating at significantly reduced capacity. Not because you are not smart, because your mental bandwidth is completely consumed by survival. And here is the part that most people never realize. You do not have to be poor for this to happen to you. Research from the Federal Reserve shows that 37% of Americans could not cover a $400 emergency expense with cash. 37%. These are not all low-income households. These are teachers, nurses, small business owners, people earning $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. The paycheck-to-paycheck trap is not about how much you earn. It is about the gap between your income and your buffer. And right now, for most Americans, that buffer is zero. Warren Buffett has talked about this idea in different ways across his career. He once said that the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. What he means is this: the habits you build when you have nothing, the reflex to spend every dollar that comes in, to treat your bank account as a number to be reduced to zero every month, those habits calcify. They become your financial identity, and breaking them once they are fully formed is extraordinarily difficult. But here is the thing about $1,000. It is not just money. It is a pattern interrupt. It is the first time in your financial life that you practice a completely different behavior. You earn money, and instead of spending it, you protect it. That sounds simple. It is not. It is one of the hardest behavioral shifts a person can make, and it is also the most important one. Now let me show you what $1,000 actually does to your financial life in practical terms. Because this is where it gets genuinely surprising. The moment you have $1,000 in a dedicated savings account, not your checking account, a separate account you do not look at every day, three things change immediately. The first thing that changes is your relationship with emergencies. Right now, if your car breaks down and the repair costs $800, that is a crisis. That is a credit card charge at 24% interest. That is a payday loan. That is a call to a family member you do not want to make. That $800 problem becomes a $1,500 problem by the time you pay the interest. And the stress of it follows you for months. With $1,000 sitting in savings, that same car repair is an inconvenience. You pay it, you rebuild the account, you move on. The emergency never becomes a debt spiral. The second thing that changes is your negotiating power at work. This one surprises people, but think about it honestly. If you have zero savings and you hate your job, you have no leverage. You cannot quit. You cannot afford to take time off to interview somewhere better. You cannot push back on an unreasonable request from your boss because you need next Friday's paycheck more than you need your dignity in that moment. $1,000 does not give you complete freedom, but it gives you 2 to 3 weeks of runway. And 2 to 3 weeks of runway means you can make one different decision. That one decision can change your entire career trajectory. Warren Buffett built his entire philosophy around the concept of never being forced to sell or act under pressure. He said it about stocks, he said it about businesses, but the principle applies to your career and your daily financial life just as directly. When you have a buffer, you can choose. When you have nothing, you cannot. The third thing that changes is what economists call financial self-efficacy, which is just a complicated way of saying you start to believe you can actually do this. And that belief, the lived experience of having built something, protected something, proved to yourself that you can delay gratification, that belief compounds just like money does. The research on this is remarkable. A Harvard Business School study found that people who successfully save their first $1,000 are 3 times more likely to reach $10,000 than people who attempt to save $10,000 without hitting the $1,000 milestone first. 3 times more likely. Not because the math changes, because the identity changes. You stop being someone who cannot save money. You become someone who saves money. Now let me give you the exact system to build this $1,000. Not a vague suggestion, a specific, sequenced, numbered plan. The first thing you do is open a separate high-yield savings account today, not tomorrow, today. The separation is not optional. It is the entire mechanism. When your savings sit in the same account as your spending money, they will be spent. Human psychology is not strong enough to resist the availability of money sitting right there. The separation creates friction. Friction saves money. The best high-yield savings accounts in 2026 are paying between 4 and 5% interest. Your regular bank savings account is paying 0.01%. That difference on $1,000 is $40 to $50 a year, not life-changing. But the habit of finding better rates, that habit scales to hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime and becomes extraordinarily powerful. The second thing you do is calculate your actual monthly surplus. Not what you think you spend, what you actually spend. Pull up your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Add up every dollar that went out. Subtract it from every dollar that came in. That number, whatever it is your starting point. Most people are shocked by this number, not because they are spending on big things, but because of what Buffett calls the tyranny of small decisions. The subscriptions you forgot about, the food delivery markups, the impulse purchases that individually feel trivial but collectively eat 40 to 60% of your available surplus every single month. The third step is to automate a transfer on the day you get paid. Not at the end of the month, not when you remember. The day your paycheck hits, a fixed amount moves automatically to your high-yield savings account. Even if that amount is $50, even if it is $25. Warren Buffett said the most important investment habit is paying yourself first. Not paying your landlord first, not paying your car payment first, paying yourself first. Automation makes this happen without requiring willpower every single time. And willpower is a finite resource. Systems are not. The fourth step is to find $100 you did not know you had. Not by deprivation, by audit. Cancel one subscription you have not used in 60 days. Cook 4 meals at home this week instead of 2. Sell one thing from your home you no longer use. Most American households have $300 to $500 of invisible monthly waste that disappears without providing any meaningful happiness or utility. Find $100 of it, add it to your automated transfer. Now you are moving faster. Here is the timeline when you combine these steps honestly. If you automate $150 per month toward your $1,000 goal, you reach it in 7 months. If you find an additional $100 per month through the audit I just described, you reach it in 4 months. If you do both and add any windfall, a tax refund, a bonus, a side job, you can reach it in 6 to 8 weeks. The speed matters less than the consistency. What matters is that the transfer happens every single pay period without fail. Now here is the warning, and please hear this clearly because I have watched this mistake erase this milestone for people over and over again. The moment you hit $1,000, you will feel rich. You will feel like you have arrived somewhere. And that feeling is real, and it is earned, and you should be proud of it. But $1,000 is not an ending. It is a floor. The most dangerous thing you can do at this moment is treat your emergency fund like a reward account. I hit my goal, so I deserve that trip. I saved $1,000 so I can afford to upgrade my phone. The moment you spend it, you are back to zero. And getting back to zero is not just a financial setback, it is a psychological one. Because now you have evidence that you cannot hold it. Warren Buffett has held cash and liquidity at Berkshire Hathaway through every single market cycle of the last 50 years. He has been criticized for it endlessly. Wall Street called it lazy, analysts called it a drag on returns, and Buffett ignored every single one of them. Because he understood something that most people learn too late. Liquidity is not dead money. Liquidity is optionality. Liquidity is the ability to act when everyone else is frozen. Liquidity is the thing that separates the people who get crushed by bad luck from the people who turn bad luck into opportunity. Your $1,000 is not sitting there doing nothing. It is standing guard. It is making sure that the next bad week does not become a bad year. Build it, protect it, and then, once it is solid, come back, and we are going to talk about what comes next. Because $1,000 is just the first step. The second step is where things start to get genuinely exciting. If this video changed the way you think about that number in your bank account, subscribe, because next week we are going to talk about what happens after the first 1,000. And the math at that stage is something that most financial channels never show you. Drop a comment below and tell me honestly, where are you right now? 0 saved, somewhere in the middle, or already past 1,000? I read every single comment, and your answer tells me exactly what video to make next.